So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today I want to show you a Riven build for the Torid. Now, I know some people really don't like Riven builds because it's almost impossible to get the same Riven that you see in the video, and some even see it as sort of boasting, sort of, look at my Riven, isn't it amazing, you don't have it, you plebs. And I think it says a lot about you if you think that others think this way, because, well, in Czech Republic we have a saying that goes, podle sebe soudím tebe, which roughly translates to I judge you based on myself. But I digress. The point of these videos is to show you that you don't need to get an amazing Riven for the Dread or the Soma or Synoid Simulor to have fun with the Riven system. So if you do get a Riven for something like the Torid or even the Grakata, you can get a decent build out of it that's going to perform really well even in higher level content. So the build, of course, is expensive. It is using a Riven. It's a 6 Forma build where I've added 5 Vs and a dash. And the mods I'm using here are Serration for more damage, Split Chamber for multi-shot, Heavy Caliber for even more damage, and the reduced accuracy does decrease single target damage, but it's really good for spreading the damage across a wider area. Then I'm using Firestorm, which makes the Toxin Clouds a little bit bigger, so you can cover even a larger area, but if you don't have it, you can put in something like Point Strike for more crit. The Riven I got after a couple of rows is called Torid Sati Gelidex, and it adds 83% bonus status chance, 104% more multi-shot, 93% bonus core damage, and minus 35% damage to the infested. Now, the status chance and multi-shot are really good. The reduced damage done to the infested isn't the worst thing in the world, but the cold damage is actually pretty terrible because it can now proc cold instead of just pure gas, so it doesn't stack toxin as fast as it could. And finally, I'm using Thermite Rounds, which is going to combine with the toxin damage from the Torid, Malignant Force, and also Infected Clip to give us a lot of gas damage and also status chance. Now, there is a really cool synergy between the Torid and Mag's Magnetize. I'm going to spawn 8 level 120 Corpus Techs, I'm going to cast Magnetize, and then I'm going to shoot into it once. And watch what happens. That is a lot of bloody damage. Now, unfortunately, this only really works versus the Corpus and the Infested because they don't have any armor. If you try to do this with something like a Bombard, it's gonna take you like 3 magazines to take them down. Now, while this looks really nice in the Simulacrum, and you can pull it off in the regular game, and by the way, the explosion you get afterwards does a truck ton of damage, Magnetize is pretty bad versus the Corpus and the Infested as well. Because, of course, with Corpus, you have Nullifiers, Combined Scrumbus, and Bursa units, which will just collapse it. And as I found out today, so will Ancient Disruptors. So, when you're running an Infested mission, and you put up Magnetize, if there's an Ancient Disruptor nearby, he will just collapse it immediately. So, unfortunately, the two factions that the Torid is really good against will just demolish or magnetize. Now, if you're fighting Corpus or the Infested up to sort of level 50, the first gas proc will just moiter everything in range. If you go above level 50, it takes a couple of ticks, but it's still pretty good. And if you go to sort of Kuva Flood or Sortie 3 level, it will take a while to take the enemies down, but if you're not fighting the Grenier or anything heavily armored, it still kills enemies pretty damn fast. Now, the footage you're watching right now is from a Corpus Kuva Flood Exterminate mission, which is the highest level mission that I could do today, because the sorties aren't very, how would I say this? Well, good for a demonstration, because the first one, the enemies are too weak, they die almost immediately. The second one is an Eximus Stronghold, which for the Corpus means like a bazillion Guardian Eximus Ospreys, so everything is invincible. And the third one is shotgun only, so I can't use the bloody thing. But even in a Kuva Flood, where the enemies are really high level, and you're also fighting the Grenier, which this weapon isn't very good against, I did around 34% total damage done. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't really feel like you're doing an awful lot of damage, which I would classify as a downside. It doesn't really feel powerful. Because, well, the weapon doesn't really do any damage. Yeah, if you manage to hit a dude square in the face with the grenades, which is really hard, because if you put heavy caliber on the Torid, the grenades will just fly all over the place. It will do a lot of damage, but most of the damage you're gonna do is gonna be done by the clouds. And honestly, you're not gonna sit there and watch the clouds do damage. You're just gonna fire off a couple of grenades and you're gonna run to another room. So if you like weapons like the Tonkor, where you press the fire button and you get an immediate response, you get a little fireworks display, with all the damage popping up, this may not be the weapon for you. But hey, if you got a Riven for it, you might as well try it out. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching as always, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.